Okay, hello. Hello, come on in. I'm going to do a little live for you today, and I want to welcome you. I'll wait just a few minutes and get people to a chance to see this and to come on in. All right. I have a quick project that I think will be kind of fun. I'm a mixed media artist. I'm Kathy Freeman with Kathy Freeman Art, and I love to do mixed media. Why? Why? Because mixed media basically incorporates all kinds of your paints, your papers, your inks, just a variety of different things that you can use in your work. And so I love mixed media. So let's go ahead and I see we got a few. Let me go ahead and switch over to a different camera here so that you can see what we're going to be working on today. Okay, what I have here is this little project. Let me move those out of the way. My inks. It's cute little flower. Cute little flower. And this is done with acrylic paint and inks that have been stenciled on. So stenciling is a very fun, easy way to get a nice background. And so I'm going to take you through this project. We'll do this together, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have fun. We're going to be using this 4x6 watercolor paper. It's just the right size. I love working with this. Let me move that off to the side here. And I don't think I need anything behind it. I can just put it right here on my table. First thing we want to do is grab a pencil. There it is. I was working on something earlier and I didn't know where I'd left my pencil. If you can see my desk now, I have been very creative here this morning doing all kinds of things. First thing though that we want to draw is the flowers and place those in there. So most of the time what I'll do is I will do the background first and then put the flowers on top. But today what I'm going to do is actually trace out those flowers, and just, I don't know why, I just thought it would be a different way of doing it. So I'll get my pencil there, and I like to start with these are like cone flowers. So I start with the little cone right here, and then we create these wonderful little petals. Let's make the bottom part of it. And I know if you put a comment or something, I'll look at it. I usually get really focused when I'm creating. And so I will look at it later after we're through, and I will comment back. So go right ahead and put your comments in there and that, and I'll be glad to answer questions or just even to say hello. If you say hello, please do say where you're from. Whoops. I get going and I forget what I'm actually doing there. Tell us where you're from. Let us know. It's always fun to know where how far out this is reaching and who's actually getting to watch. I am streaming into a couple of different places that I have, so that's always fun. All right, let's see. Continue on with our petals here. And I'm just sketching them in. I'm going to be using acrylic paint, kind of a craft paint to paint these. So we've got that first one. The second one, we're going to do up here a little higher, not quite as defined on that center part. And we'll just start creating the flowers. This is a really easy, I don't know if you can even see that, it may be too faint. There we go. Can you see that? I can do it darker because I'm going to be outlining it anyway. The marker. Okay, and we just go around. These flowers are so fun to do. They're actually very relaxing, I find them. Let's make this one's little stem coming down, down, down. We'll just get his placement. We're going to make a third one, because it's always nice to have that uneven number. Pleasing. We'll start just sketching him out. Do you know what? I could probably lower this down. So let me just take a second and do that. That way you can probably see a little better what I'm doing. Come in a little closer. Move my camera back. Okay, that gives you a little bit better idea of what's going on. We're just sketching these around. Coneflowers are, I think, well, for me, one of the easiest ones to do. Okay, we just got his placement right there. We're gonna put a stem for this one coming out. Say, put his petal there. We'll have his stem coming out this way. And his stem, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little bit of width. And this stem will come out, curving, and bring it down, like so. Make these a little more pronounced so you can see them. I can go back in. I'm going to just very carefully, this is watercolor paper, I don't want to lift up the tooth too much, but I'm going to just erase some of those lines on what it is that wanting right there. Wonderful. Now we've got that. Go ahead and I'll put in the leaf too while I'm here. Just give him a little bit of an arch. I usually have to kind of play with my leaf every once, just play with a little bit till it gets the way I want it to look. Want that leaf to be bent over just a little. And this leaf, we'll just stick him out like so. Good. We'll just put one little leaf on this guy up here. This one, the leaf, I think I'll do it a little bit larger, and we'll bring, since he's in the forefront, we'll just go right in front of that stem. Okay, this is just because I wanted to put some placement down for right now. Got those, that's perfect. Now I've got these two stencils, and they're very easy. Usually you can find these pretty much most places. If you don't have a dot one, you could take some kind of a plastic, and I have done this before where I've taken a hole punch and I've just punched, and then when I wanted a larger one, I punched two holes closer together. So if you don't have a circle one, you can kind of create your own until you find one, and then find some kind of a geometric pattern. There's something about the organicness of these bubbles, these circles, and that very set pattern of the other working together. It makes a nice contrast. So the colors I'm going to use for this inks, and you could use whatever inks you have, but I'm using the Compliments. This is called a Sweet Plum. It comes out more of a burgundy, you might say a mauve kind of. And then this is called Bamboo Leaves, but it's a really nice green. So I'm going to use those, and of course I use one of my favorites, which is the Distressed Oxide by Ranger, the Vintage Photo. All right. To do this particular part, I'm not going to use a brush. What I'll use, though, I'll use a little makeup sponge. One of those little cubes that we all use. And I'm going to lay this down, and I can see where, right underneath, I can see where my flower is. And so I'm going to start to play. Let's get some color on here. And I'm going over this a little bit, but I know where it's at. It's placed, and I can paint right over that. Okay. While I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and get it out. Well, it's easy enough to put those down afterwards. I like to, if I put something at the top, I like to balance it out with just a little bit maybe at the bottom. Got quite a bit of it at the top. Some of it will be painted in. But I will. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of this down here. See, and be careful not to let that paper move like I just allowed this one. It's good to tape it down, but I'm holding on to it really tight. There we go. That gives, it did smudge in there a little bit, but I'll fix that. I'll work with that when I put on another layer over the top, because I'm going to be putting vintage photo over that eventually. I'm going to leave that fairly light. Let's move on over though to the green and apply the green. We'll use the other side of our sponge. And it will go down, it comes down, you need to have a light hand because it wants to come down quite strong, versus if you use maybe a brush or something to do this with. I like this, using these circles, because they are so organic and fills it in. Okay. There we go. We've got those in place. Might put another few over here. Even go over the top a little bit of that. Okay. Good deal. Now, before I go much further, let's see. And this is really just personal taste. How dark do you want them? And how many do you want? I'm going to leave that. Now, let's move into adding the vintage photo. And I will use a brush for that. Realign it back up. And I'm not going to cover the whole thing. I want to maybe just hit the one side. Just go for one side of it. See, just to add that little bit of variation. And while I've got it out, let's go over the edges of it. Right there. I'm not going to go over into the green. I'm going to stop there. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit down in this area. And this is where I will attempt to There we go. See the change that made on that. And I can mute out that darker area a little bit by there. And then come back. This is a really thin brush. I have a larger one. Where is my larger one? Right here. I like using those when I'm doing this part. There. Wonderful. We'll put those aside because we are through with those. Now I've got my little stamp, and I'm going to stamp a couple of things with that. Going to go ahead and let's do the leaf. Let me see if I have a different green real quick. Okay, I'm not sure if this one will show up. It seems to be quite light, but we'll see. So we'll go over the stamp. Give it a nice covering. And we're just randomly putting these out. Kind of like leaves falling. Stick one up here over the top of that. It's very subtle. You really don't see it that much, but it's nice to have that in there. Let me wash off my stamp while I'm thinking about that, so I keep those cleaned up. Okay. And the last one I want to use is the word, I had the word hope. Here it is. Okay. I can try that in the distressed. Let's try that in vintage photo. This, I think I have a dark brown. And with that one, I got the edges. Typically don't like that, but we'll just work with it. Definitely shows up on that one, doesn't it? There we go. All right. Set that to the side. Get that a little cleaned off too. Now we're getting ready and we're going to start painting. That's the next fun stage. So I'm going to get out something to put my paint on, and what I'm going to use, these are two Liquitex, Quinacridone Magenta, and I can't even say this one, but it's Azalean Crimson. So get this closer so you can see the names yourself. There. So put that out. I don't need a lot because these flowers are not very big. Probably too much as I got right there. Now I also want some basil. I'm using Anita's. This is just, I like the earthy color of the green. It's kind of avocado or more of a green apple color. I would need a little more of that, but that's all we'll put on for right now. And I could use a white. Let me grab my white. There we go. We'll just have a little white on here so that if we want to do some blending, we've got it. This is acrylic paint. So it's washable, it's easy to use. Okay, and find one of my brushes. I think I'm going to use an angle brush. Little angle brush. Sometimes I'll use a round tip. Looking for my round tip. I'll pull it out just in case. I'll have a medium size round tip and a smaller size round tip. Put those to the side. I can use those as you get into smaller work. The centers will be done with this is a sunflower, just some kind of a bright yellow that you might have. Makes a beautiful center. Okay, we'll set all those aside. And let's go ahead and start with the center. And I'm going to use, well, I'll use my angle brush for this one. Dip into the toe of it. And to just work myself around. Okay, finish that one. Now I have to get kind of close to see. All right, this is just a tiny one right up here. We'll just judge where we think that is. It did get covered up with some of the stencils, but got a pretty good eye for it right there. And then the last one is right over here. Just get that done right away, and it can be drying because I'll come back in and put some black dots in there for like the center of the flower. Let's clean out that brush. And the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and work with paint those flowers. And I'm going to start, you can see if you can see, this one is definitely more crimson. You can see a little bit of pink, the blue, whatever in that. So I want this to be on the top, this to be my base. And I think just to have a little bit more control, I'm going to switch over to my small round tip. And just start applying. That paint. Another reason I like using these smaller sizes is of paper. It's so easy to maneuver it around and move it around. It's easy that you can get at an angle that you need to get at. Let me know if any of you are painting along, or if you're just going to There we go. Bring that up to the top. Very easy petal to do. Fun. It's a fun petal. I've got a lot of paint on my brush. I'm not pressing hard. I'm more skimming over the surface. Just because I'm working kind of in a small area. I'm working in a small area, and I don't want, if you press hard, then it tends to want to push itself out, bleed itself out a little more. So, and it's nice to have a lot of paint on your brush. If you don't, then it just sort of drags. And I'll go back in there. If you go over, don't worry, because if you go back over it, you can just come back with the color. Once it dries a little bit, then you just come back over it. This crimson has a beautiful rich color. Okay. Moving right along, let's get this little petal here. This is a fairly quick little project too, and it's not too complicated, so that this would make a great little card to give to somebody if you are wanting to do a, I don't know, a birthday, a get well, a hope you're having a great day, any of those. Okay, there we go. Let's move on over now to this one. Actually, I'm going to do the top of this, because that way I can keep my fingers here and maneuver it without dealing with the paint. So, these are tiny petals, and you might even want to move to a smaller brush if you're not comfortable with this size. Just barely move it. Like so. Now, I don't have a line to follow there, so I'm just going with what I can remember. Because that line is covered up with the stencil. And I covered up some of the yellow. Not a worry, I'll come back to that. Do want to let it dry first though, or you'll just end up blending the colors. Okay. Mix that up. Yes, I do. I do keep going in that yellow. And, you know, some of it I might want to leave too, because the flower isn't like perfectly. I do have to watch myself on this. Don't put my little finger in that one. But it doesn't just have a straight line. Let it flow very organically. Okay, let me look at it this direction. It's good to turn your work and look at it at all angles. go. And this one needs to come out like it's just popping over here on the side. Just like that. There we go. That color is so beautiful. You could stop right there if you wanted to, but I'm going to add a little more to it. So let me dry that. I know there's still a few areas I can see that it's still a little wet, but I'm going to move right on over here to the quinacridone magenta and put that color on the top of this color. I'm not going to fill it in completely. I'm just making strokes down. I'm going to actually extend this little petal out a little more with the quinacridone. You know, that is such a tricky word for me. Okay, where was I? Here. I want to create that point a little more defined. Just add a little bit to this. And you know, I'm not even going to go to the end on this one. I'm not even going to go to the end of the petal. I'm going to concentrate this more here up towards the top. And it doesn't, I mean, you can't, it's not pronounced super strong, but it does add a little bit to it. Okay, and let's add, just come on, bring that on over here, there. Yes, I'm going to go back in here and darken this closer towards the center. With that. Now I've got some of this. I'm going to take my white, wherever I stuck that, there it is. And with the white, we're going to blend it. And I'm going to move out towards this outer part with that. And do a quick, loose stroke towards the center. Turn my brush so I've got paint on it. Just like that. Start at the tip. And just play with it. If you don't like what you've done, let it dry, go back and paint over it. But I do want this to be, you know, I don't want it to be, I want it to be organic. I don't want it to be super. Blend it in too. Okay, let's add some here. All right, there we go. Where's my water? I moved it and I lost it for a split second. Okay, dry that off now. I'm going to hit that with the dryer for a split second, then I'm going to come back and go back over that yellow. Grab that yellow again. And it's a little bit challenging to go over the red, but once you put the black on it and everything, you won't even notice. I'm not going to change that. I like the way that's all the movement there. Okay, great. Alrighty. I'm going to grab the pen before I start doing. Well, we could do the green and then I can do the ink. So let's grab the green and just be loose with this, because you're going to be more defining when you come back in with your ink line. Okay, I got a petal that, or actually a leaf that goes right over that, so quick stroke. You're going more for getting the color down than the actual. You'll define your stem and leaves and that with the ink. You're just getting your color down right now. Let's go in with here. See, where did we have another leaf on this one? Did we have another leaf? I'm not sure, but I'm going to place it out here. There. Just had to kind of figure out where that one was going. Make it up as we went. this one. And here's this one. Just do a small leaf there. Now I'm going to take this and where's my angle brush? Mix some of the yellow in with this green, and let's create a different well, this is a really large, but I'm going to, ideally you would want a smaller, but I'm going to hold the back up and I'm going to take the toe of it, the tip, and outline my leaves. Now, I didn't go right here because I want it to have the appearance of it kind of flopping over, so yeah, there. I'll just do a little heavier there. There we go. Kind of blend those in. If you want to come back with maybe just a little yellow even, and tap that in. I'm using my finger to blend it. That gives a little bit difference, kind of like a highlight for that. Okay, come back with this green here now, and let's outline it with the lighter, using the tip of this angle brush. Okay. Grab some of that yellow like I did on the other, and let's just add like a little highlight to it. Just dotting the stem even a little. It's very subtle. Let's see, let me get some of the brush. And I did go outside of that, so I'm going to pick back up the green with the toe and just widen that leaf a little. That's all. That's all we need to do. Okay, it's all very subtle. Let's see if you can see that. That light's coming in kind of weird. Let me turn my blind off. There we go. There we go. See that yellow? Okay. Good deal. Oh, we are just about done with it. We're going to dry it. before we completely dry it, I want to add the gold to it. You can do a couple things. On my original, what I used is this. It's called plaster paint. It's just a gold that I had, and I thought, oh, that's a really pretty gold. This is a different gold. This is just a Deco Art metallic you can get also. So I love gold because it just adds that little bit of sparkle to it. Let's see what this one is. It's very pretty. Okay, I'm going to use the other one because that way we've got something to compare. See which one we like. I'm going for my small brush again, clean both of these up. And I'm just going to pull it from the lid actually. Oopsie. Let me take a little off I don't want to hit it too hard. Okay. We're doing a light gold over the it's like a gold highlight or something. I didn't even go up to the top of that. I want to hit where the petal would curve a little. Just like the sun was shining on it. So I'm not going up to the tip. I'm not hitting the other tip. I'm going right where the petal would be bending. That's like the sun hitting it. Giving it a little bit of a... This one I'm going to be very, the word's not determined, I'm not sure. But exact, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. More of where I'm putting it. There. And let's go ahead and hit some of the leaf too. That'd be fun, right? Maybe tap it with your finger, tap it with a paper towel, just to get it kind of blended a little. And I'm being very loose with this and generous with it. Okay, that's it. That's all we wanted, that gold. Well, it's always fun to maybe take a little tip and put it oh, my brush is a little wet. Kind of hit the tips. Especially at the large one here. Catches the light, and so it'll shine and sparkle. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to dry that, and we're ready to put the lining on it, the detail work. There's my dryer. Alright, on this one I used a lighter, much pink, more of a really pale pink to add some highlights to it. This one I don't have quite so much, so what I probably will use, let me look around here, where are you? Okay, my white jelly rolls. It's a 5, huh? Well, I haven't used a 5 in a long time. Let me reach up here. 10. 10 is what I'm looking for. I like the larger. And then I'll need a micron. I like to use the microns pens. And we're going to go ahead and now just do a little outlining. I'm not going to do the dots quite yet. Think loose, sketchy movement when you're doing this. Move your arm back and forth. Just sketch it out. Long, sketchy movements. And even if you go outside of it perfect, that's just wonderful. See, that made a really nice outline with it. Let me get a little bit closer for you to see. Nice little outline. Okay, do the same up here. Sketch, quick, sketchy strokes. You can go outside, like I went a little bit longer there. That's just great. And we're sketching this one out. Perfect. Okay, that's awesome. That's perfect. I'm not going to outline that. Let's go down our stems. I'm not pressing hard. I want it to be, I really like that sketchy feel rather than, because I just want to define the areas. I don't want to outline it per se. My motto is define it, don't outline it. Now, if you like the outline look, oh, by all means do that. But I personally, you'll find that most of my art is more of a sketchy feel than an actual, most of the time. More of a free kind of, I like that organic feel to it. Okay, let's come back in and let's define. Okay, so what do we have left to do? I guess it's just the little seed pods up at the top and maybe a little highlighting. So this one is more of a tip that's like a magic marker. And I'm not going to press hard, but I want to fill that area with little black dots, just like that. The nice thing about not pressing hard, I mean, I am touching it, but if you press too hard, then it spreads it out and you can get some really oversized. And this needs to be very sporadic, so jump around. Some are close, some are far, some are bigger, some are smaller. I have a large one there, so I came back to double dip that one and hit that one, just to balance it out. Let's do the same with that. There we go. Fantastic. And these are actually a lot lighter than I did the other ones. I think I used a Sharpie or something with the other ones. Made those very large. But this one, I'm keeping these small. Some are close, some are far. But not too far, because there. All right, now, where did I put my white? Okay, my jelly roll. Love, love my jelly roll. This is where I can come back in and add some more sketchy lines right over it all, just to add some highlight. Create that contrast. There. Okay. This one, I'm going to go a little easy in the beginning. I can always add more. I'm just going to do 2 or 3 lines on each petal. And I'm following the curve of that petal. So if the petal is curving this way down, then my line is curving down. It's not a straight line. It's following the curve of that petal. Let me get that a little closer so you can see. See that? Good. And then the last. All right, I'm going to stop right there. Love it. Turned out wonderful. Oh, I don't know. I always have to add a little bit more. Let's not forget these leaves. Oh, I did forget to put a line on that one, so that's okay. See, I like the variety. I'm just going to put a little white right on this. I'm not going to bring it down. Yes. Variety is a key principle in our art. Well, there we go. Creating variety. It helps draw the eye and it adds interest to your piece. All right. Hope you enjoyed doing this, and post. If you do this project yourself, go ahead and post it. I want to see it. And thank you so much for joining. I will go back and answer any questions that I see or any comments for this one. And I want to thank you so much for joining me.